Welcome to PrideScape, the official podcast of Pride Northwest, home of the annual Portland Pride Waterfront Festival and Parade, and much more. Each month, we will be bringing you the latest Pride Northwest updates and important news and information affecting Oregon and Southwest Washington's LGBTQ+ community. To learn more about Pride Northwest, visit our website at pridenw.org. And now your host and Executive Director of Pride Northwest, Debra Porta.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to PrideScape, the official podcast for Pride Northwest. I'm your host, Debra Porta. Today, we're again shining the Pride Northwest spotlight on food insecurity in our community and some community-driven efforts that are out there to address this issue. As you may know, LGBTQIA2S+ folks are overly represented when it comes to the impact of food and housing insecurity. Which is just a really sanitized way of saying hunger and living outside, no place to live. This is an area that Pride Northwest has been actively engaged in for a number of years, and will continue to be so. Our community is so impacted by all of this. Today, I'm joined by Javonnie Shearn. Javonnie is the founder of Up and Over and Glenda's Garden. She's a housing advocate and author of Someone. Javonnie started Up and Over in 2011, leading youth mentorship workshops and assemblies, and eventually expanding into housing services and outreach during the pandemic. Javonnie also served on the Oregon State Hospital Advisory Board for 8 years, which I commend serving on any board for 8 years, including 4 as chair. Through her work and personal story, she brings a powerful voice to mental health, grief, and rebuilding lives. Welcome, Javonnie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you and I we've spoken once. I've been looking forward to this because I want to learn more, really. And I know obviously a little bit about your work, but I'd love for you to share some about your journey, what's inspired you to do this work, and then we'll dig into the actual work that you're doing.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm glad you started there, because a lot of times people want to know, tell us what you do. And they leave out the piece that brought us to doing this work. And a lot of folks who have a heart to serve, it usually is sparked by some experience, either their own or someone else that they know, or some event that caused them to kind of activate. So there is always, in my experience, folks who are doing service-based work, there is that backstory. So I appreciate you kind of leading with that. So I started Up and Over in 2011, and it kind of came full circle with Glenda's Garden, and we'll get there, and I'll try to keep it brief. I wanted to do a program to prevent youth from or folks in recovery. My mother was a recovering addict. So my heart mission was to help people in recovery. And then it just hit me that, why are we waiting until people need recovery? Why am I waiting for that?
Yeah.
Why don't we start and do some type of prevention so that young folks don't need a recovery program? And so that's kind of where Up and Over was birthed. Up and Over was supposed to be a program for women in recovery. And then it kind of transitioned into, or evolved into, let's go into schools. So we were going into middle schools and high schools in Oregon and Washington, doing assemblies and mentoring and workshops. And over the years that evolved, because it wasn't just an anti-bullying thing. It wasn't an anti-drug thing. It was, hey, we all have obstacles to get up and over. So let us share with you and walk you through what worked for us as a team. And hopefully we could connect with the young people. So they felt like, hey, if they did it, I could do it. But also when young people feel hopeless, like I've done everything I know to do, that's where you start to lose them. So
Yeah.
I think them seeing, okay, I've tried everything I know to do, but oh my gosh, here's some different options now. And so the goal was to kind of inspire them to keep going up that hill and getting over that hill. So we were doing that for a while, and we started out doing assemblies, and then schools would ask us, that was amazing, what else you got? And so we started formulating workshops. Then they'd be like, that was great, what else you got? And I'm like, then we started doing mentoring, and so it just kind of grew. It just kind of kept growing because
Yep.
of the ask. And we were doing that for a while, and it was all volunteers. We didn't have any funding. um, and then probably year 3, we started asking for, "Hey, can you at least cover gas and, maybe some donuts for
Oh,
us
yeah.
when we get there?"
Mhm.
And then we got to the point where we were able to start asking and getting contracts with schools, and doing some stuff with Sun programs, and the Campfire programs, and SCI, and just kind of getting into these other youth organizations. And then COVID hit, and everything shut down.
There's
We
always
couldn't.
and then COVID hit to the story now. Every
Yes.
person I talk to, and then COVID
Yes.
hit.
And then COVID hit. And within 3 days, every contract that we had,
Mhm.
gone. I mean, like that, gone. And I didn't have a plan B. I was counting on these contracts to pay mentors, to pay myself. And then it was just gone. Um, and then, um, by the grace of God for me, for the first time, um, business owners were able to get unemployment.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that was really like my saving grace. And I know COVID was devastating for a lot of people. I
Mhm.
know folks who lost folks during that time. Um, but for me, it gave me it didn't give me time, it forced me into figuring out what I was gonna do next.
Yeah.
And so, because my brother was homeless, my adult son had schizophrenia and had been homeless. I just kind of naturally started helping my brother, and then started helping the community. And it was more like, hey, we need a deposit, or hey, I have a trailer, I don't have a place to park it. And I would just start crowdsourcing. Hey, we need to raise $5,000. Here's a family over here that needs a couch. And so I just started doing those things during COVID, and was working with someone who works with Clackamas County, who is actually my brother's case manager.
Mhm.
And uh, she was kind of blown away because I was doing the work of case management, navigation, outreach.
Oh,
I
right.
just didn't know the names of those things.
Mhm.
Um, so she started kind of mentioning my names in Clackamas County kind of circles. And I was invited to a partner meeting. And it was mentioned that, hey, you should apply to be a qualified vendor for these SHS funds. And for me, it was, I'm just one person. Maybe I should partner with another organization. I don't know. Um, and I'm a believer. I don't, push that on nobody. I'm a believer. And then it just hit me. It's like, God, what am I supposed to do? And it was like, you've been out here doing it by yourself.
Mhm.
Go ahead and apply by yourself. And so I applied, and we were um, awarded the privilege of being on this qualified vendor list. And
Right.
for me, it's like it's just an honor to be nominated at that point, because you don't no contracts are guaranteed, but at least
Mhm.
you're acknowledged as being qualified to do the work. And then we applied for the contracts, and the ones we applied for, we got. And so we started doing outreach, navigation, and supportive housing case management through Clackamas County.
Yeah.
And that was in 2022. And so we've just kind of grown since then. So how we bring it all the way back to women in recovery is Glenda's Garden. So as I'm doing Up and Over, it just kind of hit me again, like, wow, the whole point of this was my mother. My mother was murdered in 92, but I still wanted to honor my initial kind of drive. And then my brother passed in 2020 through 2022, and then my son passed in 2023. So it was just like, okay, I still want to do this work. I want to do the stuff that prevents people from needing the services. So that's where Glenda's Garden came from. And Glenda is my mother's name. So Glenda's Garden is the program that would help women in recovery with life skills, all the kind of navigation stuff
Right.
that would lead to housing. But just thinking about what would have helped my mom. Because, you know, back in the day, it was like if you were on drugs, you are the scum of the earth. Like you
Right.
were making the bad choices and you got what you deserved, and you're choosing all these things over your kids, over your life. You deserve to be outside. You deserve to be exactly where you are. And now the
There's
idea
still too
about
much of that.
right. And it's still, oh yeah, especially with
Mhm.
unhoused folks, it's like, oh, if they would just get off drugs and get a
Right.
job.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I don't know anybody, and I don't know if you would have asked, 11-year-old Glenda, my mom, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? That she
Mhm.
would have said, I want to be strung out on drugs and living on the streets. That's my goal. That's what I
Yeah.
want to be. I don't think anybody sets out to choose that life. And anyone who says that this is what they're choosing is looking at it wrong. They're not
Mhm.
they're choosing based on other things besides this is what I want.
Yeah.
And I think people look at it as, well, you must want that life because that's what you're choosing. No, their decisions are based on different things and factors that maybe we don't understand. So there's just no compassion for that.
Right.
Um, so Glenda's Garden came up. So now we have Up and Over and Glenda's Garden. And so now Glenda's Garden is also a qualified vendor to do outreach and kind of transitional housing. So we can apply for those contracts to all 3 counties now, I believe, when they come up, if they come up. Um, but I also, with Glenda's Garden, wanted to add an equine piece. So an equine mentoring piece where horses are involved. So
Okay.
everything's kind of come full circle. Um, and even though the work is tiring and draining and emotional, it just feels like I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
So um, I just rest when I need it and then get right back to the work. So but having folks on drugs, my my son had schizophrenia. My brother was a recovering addict and also um, had mental health issues. It just kind of made me see like if I wasn't there helping my brother and helping my son, they wouldn't have any help.
Right.
And there are too many people out there that don't have any help. And I don't blame families that aren't doing what I did. I don't it's a tough role to be in to want to help someone you love and not have the tools um or the support to do it.
Absolutely. Um, when we when you and I met, you kind of talked a little bit about uh like what is the, for lack of a better way to put it, what is the day to day look like in what you're doing right now? You mentioned folks going out, uh, what does outreach mean? What does that look like? And you, like, if I remember correctly, you talked about, connecting with people, and it was just felt, this is one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on, is because the approach was so community oriented, and interpersonal oriented.
Mm,
That's the
yeah.
sense that I got. So I'd kind of love to hear more about what that looks like and why you think it's important.
Well, for me and my team, um, one thing that we recognize is that relationship is important.
Hmm.
And you don't build a relationship in a day. You don't build a relationship because I gave you a toothbrush, or a blanket.
Right.
We don't build relationships off of that. That is transactional in the beginning, but it takes time to build those relationships to where people trust us. One
Hmm.
of the things that we are really, really good at, and the folks in the community that we do serve have told us over and over, that when we say we're going to do something, we do it. When we say we're going to
Hmm.
come back, when we say I'll be right back, I'm going to run to Walmart and buy you a backpack, we do that. Or I'm gonna run over here to our storage because we have more water, we do that. So I think building that trust, like you're saying, is important. So for us right now, we go out 3 to 4 times a week, and we kind of have an area of Clackamas County. um, we do cross the line into Multnomah County. Again, it's not like, oh, you're across the street of Flaybell, so I can't give you any water.
Hmm.
So we kind of give our supplies where we see them, and we're trying to expand into like the Troutdale Gresham area. But so we go out in teams of two with supplies, and we keep a storage of supplies, um, and we just hand them out. We collect information, of course, because of our county contracts. Collecting data is part of that.
Yeah.
We don't force anyone to. You can tell me your name is, Rainbow Bright, and that's what I write down, right? So everything is kind of self-disclosed, but the more information we get, the more help do we can be to you and contact you later and check on you and all of that. So one thing that we do, and it's not just us. There are amazing outreach teams out there. So I don't want to make it sound like we're the only ones out here doing these extra steps, but I know that this is how we started, right?
Sure.
So we make contact, we track folks, we reach out, we continue to make contact. The county sometimes will send us, hey, someone told us they saw a couple with 2 kids in a car over here. Can you go check on them?
Nice.
There was one story, not this past winter, but the winter before, when it was really, really bad.
Hmm.
Um, I saw on Facebook, or one of our staff saw on Facebook, our outreach people, and was like, hey, there's a guy, an older man with a cat in a car. And this was like ice everywhere. I don't know if it was a couple years ago, but it was like really, really bad. Our case manager ran
Right.
over there. We got him in a hotel. We got him housed within days, because we just happened to have the right funding at that time. And he is still housed to this day. But that's kind of what we do. It's like, what can we do to make sure you're okay, and building that relationship? And I'll tell you, sometimes it could take a year before someone even trusts you enough to give you their real name.
Yeah.
But we don't, I'm not out there to, or our team's not out there to judge you. We're out here to ask you what you need and how we can get that to you. So,
Absolutely.
an
Um,
outreach, yeah, like I said, we go out the team goes out. We have 2 teams of two that go out 3 to 4 times a week, and we give the basics, but then we wanted to start giving. When we ask people, what do you want, what do you need, it's not I need a toothbrush. It's
mhm.
I need food, and I need a place to sleep. I need a place to keep my things. I need some dog food or some cat food.
Right.
And I'm not knocking the toothbrushes, because we do give those out, but um we really try to talk to folks and be like, what do you need? This
Mm.
is what I think I want to give you. This might even be what I think I would need if I were in your shoes. But I need you to tell me specifically what I can do to help you. What do
Yeah.
you need right now? So we we give out granola bars and cans of tuna and those types of things and crackers and cheese. But we were like, I want to give something a little more substantial, like a meal
Right,
to
right.
people. And then that's when we started our soup drive.
Well, I mean, it's my first, not my first complete, but my first a number of years ago. It was another hard winter, and I remember the ice winter you're talking about. Uh, and like you're right that we can cruise out with a packet of all kinds of things, but if it's not what somebody needs at that moment, or even close to that moment, then like who are we serving really?
Right.
Um, and so soup runs, food run that's because nothing else matters if you don't have any food.
Right.
If
And
you don't have anything.
when my son was homeless, and it's in my book, if anybody, the whole year after he got out of the hospital, but I didn't know where he was when he first got out. And so I reached out to the community and was like, hey, have you seen him? I want to find him. I want to bring him home. Because he was not medicated, he did not want to come home. So the community came together and I'd be like, hey, he's over here. He sleeps at the Gresham Transit Center. Who can meet me here? Um, I'll give the stuff to you. You give it to him. Because when he saw me, he would literally run, like run
Mm-hmm.
away from me, which is typical, right? Because it's usually your loved ones who um, are calling the police,
Yeah,
are saying, can I take you to get some medicine? Did you take your meds today? It's usually the loved ones who are a little too much in their business for them
yeah,
that they're like, nah, what are you up to? I don't trust you. And so we had a network kind of going where people would say, hey, I saw your son today on the number 6 bus on the 72. He's over here in Beaverton. But what really got me and really it's like we got to do food. We've been doing this since 2022, but I want to do food. Is I have a message from someone on Facebook who says, I saw your son today. I asked him what he needed, and he said food. And the guy said, I didn't have any food, but I gave him some socks. And for me, it was like, but that's not what he wanted. That's not what he needed. And so when we started asking people, not in a like, hey, what do you need? We know that you're sleeping outside. We know, you know, externally you need a place to live. We know those things, but what can we give you that would make this day a
right.
little more bearable today? And we'll
Mm-hmm.
come back tomorrow if we need to. And it's food. It's
Yeah,
food and socks and things to stay warm, but mainly it's food and housing. So that's why we were kind of like we want to do that stuff. And it goes back to, would I be thinking that way if my son hadn't gone through it and someone hadn't said to my son? I don't know. I don't know. But because of my experience with my son, it's always been in the back of my mind, like how do we feed people? And I'm gonna be honest, there were times that I was like, that's not enough. It doesn't even matter if I give you a sandwich and you're out here soaking wet and you're cold. It was like, does that, I feel bad because we can't do more. But then it was like, but you need to do what you can do.
mm-hmm.
And that's all anyone is expecting. And if they're telling you, I know you can't house me, but can you give me a sandwich? And if
Yeah,
I can do that, then let's do that. So I had to get over some of my own stuff too, about why do one thing if I can't do 10 things, and
mm,
really accept that one thing is 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 enough if that's all we can do, you know.
absolutely. I mean, if everybody did the one thing, eventually we'd come up with the collection of things that
Right.
need to be done. And because I've had that conversation with other folks of we all just want to like fix things, right? We want to make it all better, but that also is the thing that ends up having it making us not do anything
Yeah.
because it's not good enough or whatever. And then but then nobody starts and nothing gets done. So
Right.
I totally appreciate that one.
Yeah.
Um kind of I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. Thinking about, because we've been talking about the very sort of direct connection, individual relationship building, direct support. What are you seeing? Because you're operating in mostly Clackamas County, obviously crossing over into Multnomah in certain areas. We're in a really, shall we say, complicated time these days. There's no such thing as having recovered from COVID. Uh, what are you seeing in terms of just really directly? Are there more people? Are the situations? What is the environment look like where y'all are operating these days?
So there, if you look at reports,
Mhm.
they are saying that there are more people outside. And I don't dispute that piece of it. But I think what people miss, and I'm glad I have an opportunity to say it, is when when we the point in time count, the
Yeah.
PIT is done every 2 years. So 2023, there was a PIT done. We did it, but at the time I had one outreach person that was involved in it. By 2025, I had 12 staff and I had two other organizations that were helping us go out and count. So there were more people out there counting.
Mhm.
So of course, if you have, and I'll just use us, let's say we have one person out there counting, is not going to cover or have access to as many people as 12 people out there
Yeah.
counting. So with the SHS funds, and there was more outreach funds, that means there were more organizations involved in the PIT.
Yeah.
We also connected with organizations that didn't have SHS funds that were helping us. Like they'd bring 5 staff and then okay, you guys go here. We were able to cover more area in those 3 days that you do the count. So in my mind, of course, we're going to count more people because there's more people out there counting.
Mhm.
For me, I think we won't really know the impact until we do the next point in time count in
Right.
2027. When you have the same amount of people out there in 2027 that you did in 2025, covering the same amount of area, are we seeing an increase in people who are outside at that time? So I think it's a little misleading and we kind of miss that part that how we are measuring it is different. They also check, shelters and all of that stuff. So there has been an increase because there was more shelter beds, people are being evicted more, rent increase, people
Mhm.
losing jobs. All of that stuff plays into people not having a place to live and having to access services.
Yeah.
So yes, there are more, but it's not because there are more people on drugs or there are more
Yeah.
people, with mental health. It's not that. It's the economy is also causing this. And so
Oh
if we
yeah.
don't figure out how to stop that, again, like going back to up and over, why are we waiting until people are sleeping in tents?
Right.
Why
Right.
aren't we helping them not get to that point where they're not losing jobs, where rent isn't, 3 times more than what they're bringing in every month? And people getting evicted and rent is so high. And why aren't we working on the things that could prevent
Yep.
homelessness increasing versus waiting to solve that problem, which is I've never understood that. Why are we waiting for the problem instead of trying to work on preventing it?
But then that seems to be like I'm not from here. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. And in my experience, responding to a problem is the norm here. It's I've seen lots of, I'm totally being judgmental at the moment. Uh that's kind of the go-to is is responding to, and not enough emphasis on, well, how do we want to actually be, and what is it going to take to be that? The it's not prevention is an outcome of that thinking, but it's the thinking of like, well, what kind of society do we even want to have? Right? How
Right.
do we want people to be able to live? And we definitely don't invest enough time and thought or resources into that for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and homeless folks is not a problem for everybody. It's only a problem when it affects my business, my park I go to, the street I
mhm,
walk
mhm.
down. It's not a problem until it's my problem.
Yeah,
So
that's
then
true.
that's when we try to solve it, is when it bothers me,
Yeah,
right?
very true. Oh
So
yeah.
I think that's the, like you're saying, we want to solve it, but it wasn't a problem for me when it was across the street. But now that
Mhm.
it's on my sidewalk, I need to be a part of the solution. Where if you would have helped when it was across the street, it wouldn't have came to you, and
Right,
we
it
could
wouldn't
have,
be at your door. Yeah,
it wouldn't be at your door. We would have solved that issue. So
absolutely. No, I appreciate definitely the context, and I've other folks have talked about this as well, of recognizing like the points in time count and the impact of actually having more people doing it. And for me, that says that brings two things for me. One, I think you're right. 2027 will tell us a lot because
yeah,
there's actually an apples comparison.
right,
It
right,
also tells me that we had so little clue about how many unhoused folks we already had because we
yeah,
weren't counting them to begin with.
right,
And there's, to me, that's a different, again, this response piece around, like, if we don't even know that there's a problem, we don't know that it's being created, and we don't know that it needs a response. And then it
right.
becomes a crisis, and here we are. So I'm pondering that at that
Yeah,
time.
and the
Appreciate
other
that.
thing too is like when you have culturally specific organizations,
Mhm.
because you gotta remember, Clackamas County never had, this is the first time they've ever had anything like this.
Yeah,
Clackamas County has never had anything like it. Um, but what they did recognize is that you need culturally responsive organizations. Now, what that means as far as like HUD, is different than what I think about when I think of culturally responsive, right?
sure.
Culturally responsive in their eyes could be everybody at the organization is white men, but they took some classes and some training and they know how to talk to a diverse,
Yeah.
they know what to say and be. For me, it means we serve those folks, but also we look like those folks.
Hmm.
So our staff is very diverse. What I think folks are starting to understand is Black and brown folks, we ain't sleeping outside. I'm not sleeping outside in the open. It's already dangerous for us. You're not gonna be able to count me all the time. You're not
Hmm.
gonna find me on the street sleeping as all the time, because it's not safe from the beginning for me to just be sitting on the street, let alone be sleeping on the street. So when you have culturally specific organizations going out and reaching folks that maybe wouldn't typically talk to someone that didn't look like them or that didn't understand them, didn't understand who they are, um, wanted to, kind of force something else on them. You need to do this. We're here to do that versus listening. You get people that retreat. So that's the other thing too, is when you have culturally specific organizations out there doing outreach, we are able to talk to people that maybe a white male outreach worker would not be able to talk to. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I'll give you a prime example. And I'm glad that the folks, especially out here in Clackamas County, value it, which I appreciate. There was a Black lady, her car got towed. She was sleeping in her car. She was having a fit. One of the other outreach workers from the Father's Heart called me and was like, "Hey, can you come and talk to her?"
Mhm.
Without even thinking about it, I'm like, "Yes." So I get over there. The Clackamas County Sheriff is there, and he's a white male, and then this outreach worker is also a white male. I get over there, we start talking about music, we sit down on the ground, I talk with my hands, she talked with her hands. It wasn't threatening to me because, I'm used to that. I was able to talk to her. We were able to get her car out of tow, get her in a hotel, and get her on her way. And she actually got her own apartment. But kind of that understanding that there needs to be some type of connection when people are already in fear mode, in survival mode, in I don't trust you mode.
Yeah.
You can't just show up with a tent and be like, you should be happy I'm giving you a tent, because you're outside, when there's no relationship built or no sense of safety, I guess
Yeah.
is what I'm looking for.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting to me how much progress Clackamas County has made over the last really 10, 15 years. And we're talking Big C, Clackamas County,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and how they function. And there's a lot that we could learn in Multnomah County from what's happening out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, well, how this is going to be one of those big dream, like we don't have all the answers in the room, or maybe we do have the answer in the room, and that's kind of the point. Um, People need, how do we feed people? How do we make sure that people are not hungry in our community? Hello, thank you for listening to PrideScape. I'd like to stop for a moment and thank one of our 2026 partners.
Thank you to our partner, Regions Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oregon. Now, back to the episode.
Again, I think I hear this all the time. Meet people where they are, but I don't always see it in practice. And for me, that is the main thing, is meet people where they are. For me, if I was outside, yeah, I would take anything. Give me that. I want to be inside. I'll sleep anywhere, but I can't impose what would be good for me onto anybody else. So I think meeting people where they are, um, giving them what they say they need, believing them, not judging them, and then
Right.
helping them get those things is where we start. Um, you know, I remember we were taking sandwiches out once, and someone was like, "Oh, I don't eat meat. Do you have anything else?" And um, for a hot second, I was like, aren't you hungry though?
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, right? And this was like years and years and years ago. I've definitely matured in my understanding and my
Right.
respect since then. But, as I grew in it, it's like, these are people. If they don't want to eat your meat or eat your beans or eat your chicken, they don't have to do that. This you should be thankful for anything mentality drives me crazy now.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced it in Clackamas County on the housing side. And I voice it all the time, like, this is not trauma informed, since you want to throw those words around all the time. If you are treating people as if they should be thankful for the help that they're receiving, this is something that should be done regard. People should have food. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be anybody that is hungry. There, it just makes no sense. I mean, it makes no sense to me. But I think people have this idea like, if I saw you drowning, before I throw you a life jacket, I need for you to tell me, how come you didn't take swimming lessons?
Yeah.
What did you do to get in there? Why were you so close to the pool if you knew you couldn't swim? I
Mm-hmm.
need you to explain to me how you got where you are so I can decide if you deserve for me to throw you this life jacket. And that is just insane to me. If someone's sleeping outside, it doesn't matter to me how you got there. If you tell me you're hungry, it doesn't matter to me that you spent your last, I don't even know how much cigarettes cost, $15 on cigarettes when you should have bought food. None
Right.
of that matters to me. What matters to me is you are telling me what you need. And in a position of servitude. And that's how we look at it at Up and Over Glenda's Garden, my staff. We are here to serve. And when you are in servitude, you don't ask why someone needs something. If we have it, you have it. And then that's just it. So, I encourage people all the time, like, don't impose your ideas onto other people. Don't try to make people prove that they need your help
or that they're worthy of it.
or they're worthy of
Yeah.
it. If they say they need it, they need it. If you can help, you should help. If you can't, that's fine. But it's not your position to decide whether or not someone is worthy of a sandwich, water, or anything that they need to just literally stay alive outside, so
that whole thing just needs to go viral, by the way. We're gonna have to snip that part right there, not cut it out, but we're gonna have to like make it its own thing, because it's like that's just the whole answer right there.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, there's so much that we could hang out talking all day, because this is just a big topic. But we want to make sure that folks are able to step up, connect, support, all of those things. But really, how do people best support what it is that you're trying to do?
Always, first thing is money. First thing is money, because then we have discretion on what we can send it or do with it. Volunteering, whether it's volunteering with us as a group or you're doing your own thing in coordination with us, because we can't be everywhere at all times. Sometimes we have supply bags that we'll give our staff. Even they're not even our outreach staff. They carry these bags around so they can hand them out if they see people. So just kind of being an extension of what we're trying to do. Donations of items, water, socks, hats. We have a storage, and we usually like new stuff, especially if it's socks and hats and gloves, anything that touches the skin. I'm not washing a bunch of hats. I'm not washing no gloves. I need you to bring them ready to go. And it's again, I don't want to wash no coats. I don't want to do all of that. We don't have the manpower to do that. But we will take like new coats, that zippers work, all of that. So donating money, always the best for any organization, whether it's us or anybody. Donating time and donating items. And that's, and then spreading the word. That's kind of the 4 ways that people can help us.
Right on. Well, I really appreciate you being here and putting a lot of truth in the room, really. And we encourage everybody who's listening everybody has a part to play, and everybody can contribute something, whatever time. What does Henry say? Time, treasure, talent, right?
Yeah.
There is a way, there is something, again, and we've talked about this before in other arenas. There's not anyone coming to save us.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. And, we're our own best advocates and our own best allies. And that means showing up and doing the work and serving, really.
Yeah. I mean, being kind costs zero. Being kind is free. And a bottle of water is, 99 cents, if not less. With the summer coming, I encourage people, just go to the dollar store and keep water in your car. And don't be judgmental. Don't be prideful. Just if you see a need and you can, feel it.
Feel it, right. Thanks, Javonnie.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
joining us. Thanks for doing all that you're doing. And
I appreciate you guys.
oh yeah. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Do what you can. This is all about community. Everybody has a role to play, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to PrideScape, the official podcast of Pride Northwest, with Executive Director, podcast producer, and host, Debra Porta. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information on what you heard here today and to support the work of Pride Northwest, go to pridenw.org.